Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Help can't come soon enough for volunteers in Oceanside as busloads of migrants are dropped off by Customs and Border Protection each day. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. This week, the County Board of Supervisors voted to allocate $3 million to help the arriving migrants, but organizations are stretched thin while waiting for details. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne says now there's a new plan to consolidate drop-offs.
From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days a week. That is the rough schedule many volunteers and nonprofit organizations in North County have been working to keep up with the migrants being dropped off by CBP. Things at this makeshift processing center here at the Oceanside Transit Station change very quickly as Customs and Border Protection drop off busloads full of migrants. And now the organizations here that have been supporting and giving basic necessities have been operating with funding from their own pockets, volunteers, and donations that they're getting. And now the County Board of Supervisors did approve $3 million, but that funding has yet to be distributed.
Right now we're really waiting and hoping that the county does a responsible thing and makes sure that those funds are supporting all of the migrants that are dropped off countywide. Anytime a county does something, us in North County are having to be very loud to make sure that our voices are heard in those spaces.
Oceanside Council member Eric Joyce says some county staff has been assigned to help at the site, but more after-hours support is needed.
We need people, and we need very short-term temporary shelter for the folks that have flights the following day. Those are the two things that we need mostly. I mean, we need shuttles to the airport every day to make sure folks can get to their final destination, because without an exception, everyone has been leaving the San Diego area.
Volunteers like Elizabeth Dale from Bonzel have donated their time and money. She's even purchased items on behalf of the organizations leading the support.
I think the LGBTQ group is going to cut us a check for today. You know, when you go and buy 5 cases of bananas and oranges and things, it's, you know, $200 or $300. So they said to drop by and they'll give us a check if we need more.
It's almost impossible to estimate the amount of generosity that people had chipped in. But yes, our organizations have buried I mean, as today, the North County LGBT Center hasn't received any money. So we are using donors, our own pockets, to do what is right.
Max Disposti says the North County LGBTQ Resource Center he heads and Interfaith Community Services have been leading the operations. With no end to the drop-offs in sight, Disposti says financial support will help, but won't solve the problem.
The $3 million are not going to resolve everything because it's really a little drop in the bucket. The cost of these operations from our volunteers and resources are really, really high. So we are all trying to find the solutions together. So this is not just us versus them. It's more about, you know, having county collaborations, border patrol collaboration, but also local cities.
The county did not say when or how the funds will be distributed, but did say the goal is to have some sort of consolidation of where migrants are dropped off. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
After nearly 7 months of negotiating, Kaiser Permanente and 75,000 health workers have agreed on a tentative contract deal. Workers from several states, including about 4,500 in San Diego County, were on strike last week. The 4-year deal includes a 21% raise over 4 years, more investments in professional development, and a $25 minimum wage that will be phased in over the next 3 years. Union officials say the agreement not only keeps up with the cost of living, but it exceeds it.
Initial reports are that it's being received positively, and the bargaining team of almost 300 rank and file healthcare workers from around the country was unanimous in recommending the tentative agreement to members, and will begin ratifying next week.
Both Kaiser and the Coalition of Unions officials say the deal was reached thanks in part to acting U.S. Labor Secretary Julie Su being at the negotiating table. Kaiser officials say it was the right thing to do for workers, and it's not their intention that this agreement will impact rates for patients.
Well, are you ready for the warmth? That's going to be the story as we head into the weekend. Now, we are still dealing with areas of low cloud cover right there along the coast early in the day and late in the day. But as we continue to take this throughout the rest of the weekend, temperatures are just going to soar, especially Sunday into Monday. So we're going to break down where temperatures go and when we could see another cool down and then another warm up. That's all for you coming up.
The House has adjourned for the weekend without a speaker. Today, Republicans nominated Congressman Jim Jordan as House Speaker after Majority Leader Steve Scalise dropped his bid, but it's unclear if Jordan can win the 217 votes that are needed to secure the gavel. Any nominee can only afford to lose 4 Republican votes if all are present and voting. Congress has been without a speaker since last Tuesday when 8 Republicans voted to oust Kevin McCarthy. Tens of thousands are fleeing to safety in Gaza after Israel warned massive military action is imminent. This morning, Israel dropped leaflets in the north warning civilians to leave the south while they can, Along with sustained airstrikes, Israeli troops are now conducting raids across Gaza's border. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken was in Jordan and Qatar negotiating the release of those taken hostage by Hamas, which includes Americans. We'll have more coverage of the Israel-Hamas war. PBS NewsHour will present War in the Holy Land, a PBS News special report. The 1-hour special will air at 8:30 tonight on KPBS television. Coronado has unveiled a new housing plan meant to get the city into compliance with state law. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen has more from a community workshop.
Coronado has a lot of jobs in the military and tourism, but its low-density zoning allows for nowhere near enough homes to accommodate all the people who work those jobs. The community workshop this week comes 2 years after Coronado adopted a housing plan that zoned for only 1/3 of the roughly 1,000 homes the state determined were necessary to meet the city's housing needs. State officials rejected that plan and threatened to sue the city if it didn't identify enough sites for affordable housing. The new housing plan includes 10 sites where the city would pledge to zone for the number of homes required under state law. They include a grocery store, a child care facility, and the city's police department. Most residents were less than thrilled with the plan, but seemed to accept the state had forced the city's hand.
If we do not come back with at least a realistic opportunity to accommodate 912 units, the state can take all of our planning powers from us and just do what they want.
Jesse Brown is Coronado's principal planner. He says the city has been meeting with state housing officials on the most recent plan.
We'll share some maps with them. We'll talk about some sites, what the city's thinking, get their feedback, see if we're heading in the right direction or not. So we've had a few of those meetings, and that's why we feel the sites that are included in this housing element have a chance with the state. And we think that there's development potential as well.
The Coronado City Council will vote on the updated housing plan on Tuesday. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Tomorrow is the deadline for Governor Newsom to sign or veto about 100 bills still awaiting his decision. One bill would raise the minimum wage for healthcare workers to $25 an hour. Another would install speed cameras in cities across the state. And one would make it legal for lowriders to cruise on California streets again. You can learn more about the bills Newsom signed and vetoed on today's episode of KPBS Roundtable. You can listen at kpbs.org or wherever you get your podcasts. Another major step taken today toward net zero emissions in San Diego.
2, 1, go!
MTS launched the first electric rapid route in the agency's history. Rapid 227 will operate in Otay Mesa, Nestor, and Imperial Beach. It offers limited stops, shorter travel times, and more frequent service. It will also connect cross-border travelers from Baja California to various parts of San Diego through the Blue Line.
Pedestrians using the Otay Mesa port of entry will be able to connect to the UC San Diego Blue Line trolley in just 15 minutes and to the Imperial Beach Pier in 40 minutes or less. Service on our new rapid route will run every 15 minutes or better throughout most of the day, with peak hour service running every 7.5 minutes.
Rapid 227 will be free to ride October 15th through the 31st. Good news if you're in the market for an electric car. A proposed federal rule would give tax incentives more quickly, upfront, and to a wider range of car buyers. Jen Sullivan has a closer look.
Driving off the lot in an electric car could soon get easier and cheaper. The Treasury Department is proposing a rule that would allow car buyers to get a tax credit of up to $7,500 for new electric vehicles and a credit of up to $4,000 for used EVs straight off the lot.
We're all in for EVs, and dealers are essential to making that transition a success.
Under the new rule, all eligible consumers, no matter their federal tax liability, would get a full tax discount up front and instantly from car dealers starting in 2024 instead of waiting for next year's tax season. Right now, that's not the case. Consumers whose tax liability is too low may get a reduced credit or not qualify at all. Energy experts say the move would benefit low and middle income drivers who may now have a chance to buy a car, but say more needs to be done to make EVs more accessible.
To make everyone benefit from electric cars, we will need more incentives, more infrastructure.
To be eligible for tax credits, buyers would have to meet the individual requirements, including using the purchased electric vehicle for personal use, not being a dependent on anyone's taxes, and being under the income limit. It comes as the Biden administration aims to drive up electric car production in the U.S.
What do you think, Mr. President? I like it.
Back in August, the Energy Department announced $12 billion in grants and loans to ensure 2/3 of all new cars sold in the U.S. by 2032 are electric. For Consumer Watch, I'm Jen Sullivan.
It's a history a lot of Americans aren't aware of, but now there's a place where all of us can learn about the contributions of Black Americans to aviation. KPBS reporter John Carroll takes us to the San Diego Air and Space Museum.
At the back of the museum, a small gathering this morning to celebrate an addition to the museum's World War II exhibit, specifically the immense part Black Americans have played in the history of military and space aviation. Next to a P-52 Mustang, the plane flown in World War II by the famed Tuskegee Airmen, the words on the big picture board say it all. Breaking barriers.
It was once thought that African Americans didn't have the aptitude to get in planes and actually fly or do anything in terms of combat with them.
Ron Lacey is president of the local chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen. The local chapter's full name is the Benjamin O. Davis Jr. chapter of the Tuskegee Airmen.
I am 4-star General Benjamin O. Davis Jr., the first Black Brigadier General of the United States Air Force.
The central feature of this newly augmented exhibit is an animatronic recreation of General Davis. He was a member of the first group of Tuskegee Airmen. He holds forth on how many obstacles there were for Black Americans who wanted to serve their country in the air.
We worked very hard to become pilots, and I was proud that our men were finally able to fly with other units.
You've got to tell the story. You've got to help connect the dots of history and then help also vision the future.
Jim Kidrick says you've got to know about and appreciate the contributions of Black aviators for this country to continue striving toward becoming a more perfect union.
I routinely tell people, don't look at your toes in life. Look out at the horizon. The horizon is there if you want it.
And no matter what the barriers, no matter what the obstacles, that determination will get you there. And that's what the Tuskegee Airmen represents, determination to get you there and back home.
General Benjamin O. Davis retired in 1970. He and his early fellow Black aviators leave behind a legacy of breaking barriers in every sense of those words. John Carroll, KPBS News.
Florida-based Arcade Monsters is coming to San Diego with an immersive arcade game facility. As KPBS arts reporter Beth Accomando shows us, graffiti artists were commissioned to create murals that expand the idea of public art.
Back in 1991.
As soon as I hear spray paint or aerosol, it's like, no, we don't want any of that vandalism over here. And they don't take the time to look. Someone will say, who do you paint for? You know, we paint for ourselves and the riders. We'd like to say we paint for public, you know, for people to see, for other people to appreciate it.
But it's taken a long time for graffiti to gain that appreciation.
The beauty of graffiti is it came from not asking for permission. We would just go out and paint wherever we can, whether it was trains or walls, abandoned buildings. You know, we go under bridges and find our walls and paint them.
I feel that graffiti is actually the original public art. You know, it's in your face, it's in the public. I mean, a lot of times it is illegal, but if you know what you're looking at, a lot of times you can find the value of the craft of graffiti writers and what they do.
Back then, it was like, you got to know someone. Oh, my cousin does graffiti, or this friend of his, I heard he does graffiti. And it was so secretive, you know, because you don't go around saying like, yeah, I do graffiti. It was like a secret society, you know.
There was this whole mentorship aspect of writing graffiti. And then they would teach you things, and they would show you how to like blend with a spray can or what types of caps to use.
With a spray can, you can go straight, right? You can go fuzzy. You can get really thin, right? You can angle and get like a angling effect, a shading effect. You know, it's honestly the only type of medium where you can accomplish so many different types of things.
Now, you can Google graffiti and find how-to videos. But that accessibility also means graffiti has become more widely accepted.
It's nice because we've been practicing our craft and using the spray can for 2 decades now. And now I feel like we're at the level where we can paint almost anything with the spray cans.
Including murals for businesses.
And here at Arcade Monsters, it's really fun because we have the opportunity to paint a lot of fun cartoons and video game characters that we grew up on.
Arcade Monsters is a growing company poised to add a new San Diego venue to its existing 5 locations in Florida.
The way that people walk in, and it's all about their reactions. They walk in, and that first initial walk in, and you just see the look on their face, and you can't beat it. You know we're doing something right, and that's what sets us apart. We're an art gallery.
With art covering every nook and cranny.
We're curving around walls, there's doors, so it's not just a big flat wall. So I think that's the challenge, is like fitting what we're trying to show or portray in the small areas and spaces, just to fill every wall in here. As you notice, you walk around, there's art on every wall, so we don't discriminate walls. We're like, it's a small wall, we'll fit something cool there.
So basically here what we're doing is we're taking pop art characters, comic book characters, anime characters, anything that has some type of fandom, basically painting them in like these impossible scenarios where you have like behind me Simpsons versus Rick and Morty. And that would only happen in a place like Arcade Monsters, basically.
And everything that we do, we use fluorescent paint, which glows in the dark. So there's black light, invisible light, and now it glows. It's eye candy.
Yet graffiti is still fighting an image battle.
It is an art form. It's a language that a lot of people don't understand. There's geometry in it. There's flow and movement. But people, sometimes they'll see graffiti and they're like, I don't know what it says, so I don't like it, or something. But if you just look at it for the colors, the abstract shapes, the movement, like you can appreciate it. And I feel like it's an art form that's underappreciated.
You'll be able to appreciate it when Arcade Monsters unveils its immersive new venue in East Village, hopefully in time for Thanksgiving. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.
And to see more in the series, you can go to kpbs.org/publicart. A rare event is headed our way for the first time in more than 6 years. San Diegans will get a chance to see a solar eclipse over the weekend. It's called the Ring of Fire because when the moon is in front of the sun, it looks like a circle of light. The Fleet Science Center is organizing a celebration of the eclipse Saturday morning at the Fleet Science Center. The last great American solar eclipse was back in 2017.
We're very excited because this doesn't happen very often here in San Diego. Events like this really help us connect everyone in San Diego to the power of science.
The free event starts Saturday morning at 8 a.m. and the best time to view the eclipse will be between 8:45 and 9:45 a.m. And a reminder, you don't want to look up at the sun without the certified eclipse glasses. And you can get everything that you need from the event, from the Science Center's gift shop.
Well, let's start you off with your weather headlines. What do you need to know as we head into the weekend? Well, we are still dealing with some coastal low clouds, especially late in the day and early in the day. So that can cause some problems with visibility. Make sure you are staying weather aware. May be difficult to see at times. Now, we are warming up Sunday. We're going to be running 5 to 10 degrees above the historical average by the end of the weekend. Now, for tonight, we're dropping down to a low of 59. Now, it is going to be partly cloudy skies, but as we take this across the rest of the region, well, Oceanside dropping down to 54, Ramona 45, and Borrego Springs 53. Now, I want to take you into Saturday and show you what this is going to look like on Futurecast. We do, again, have those areas of low clouds late tonight into early tomorrow. But as we head into the afternoon, a lot of those clouds are going to start to burn off as we head throughout your Saturday afternoon. Now, where do highs go? Well, they rise to 76 in San Diego, Oceanside 78. Ramona 87, Borrego Springs 91, and Mount Laguna 63. I want to show you the annular solar eclipse forecast really quick because you're going to have great viewing conditions across Southern California. So you are in the clear. Great news for you. Let's take you over these next 5 days. Let's start you off at the coast. Well, we are starting off at 78 for Saturday, and then we're going to warm by Sunday to 82, and then we're going to start to come back down again. Temperatures moderate, and then we drop to 74 by Wednesday when we are expecting another cool down. Now, inland, we're going to rise again through Sunday. We're at 84 on Saturday, 91 on Sunday, so it is going to be hot. As we head into Monday, we're still in those upper 80s, but then we're gradually going to start on a cooling trend throughout the middle of next week. For the mountains, well, you're in the 60s Saturday and Sunday, 66 Monday, and then we're going to gradually start to come down to 65 yet again. So overall, across the mountains, not going to see too much of a change, but even across the deserts, well, you're peaking on Monday with a high of 99. Tuesday 98, and then we're going to start to come down for the middle of the week. For KPBS News, I'm meteorologist Bree Guy.
Starting tonight, we'll see Taylor's version of a Hollywood blockbuster. SDSU's Mira Kopik tells us how Taylor Swift's concert movie is creating a new model for artists to reach their fans in the Friday Business Report.
Usually a studio will distribute a movie through the movie theaters, so the movie theaters get their cut, the studio gets their cut, the movie producers get their cut. But here, Taylor Swift has bypassed the movie studios because she is a huge mega brand. She doesn't need any more awareness. And so going directly to AMC theaters is a very big profitable venture for both Taylor Swift and AMC. So here in San Diego, for example, AMC is going to have in Mission Valley, a big event around Taylor Swift with a DJ, a bracelet making event before the movie starts at 6. And the Regal in Parkway Plaza, they're going to have a Taylor Swift cover band. It is going to be on opening weekend, the biggest concert movie of all time. Right now they're expecting this movie to gross between $150 and $200 million. The double coup for AMC theaters is that they're going to distribute the Beyonce concert as part of her Renaissance tour on December 1st. So we have two very powerful women really owning the fourth quarter at the movies.
On this Friday the 13th, something strange is happening in the North County. KPBS reporter Alexander Nguyen brings us the spooky sightings at the Del Mar Fairgrounds.
In the still quiet of the night at the Del Mar Fairgrounds, punctuated only by the occasional passing train. Then, suddenly, a blood-curdling scream tears through the crisp autumn air, followed by a chilling laugh. The fairgrounds has turned into the Scaregrounds.
Hi, people. It was definitely like, it messes with your nerves.
It was Kayla Mitchell's first time at the Scream Zone, a haunted attraction at the fairgrounds.
The girl screaming, that was really scary. She's a good job. I hope you guys are paying her well because her scream was amazing. It scared the out of me. I'm sorry.
And that's the point, scaring people.
It's Friday the 13th. We're here to celebrate Halloween.
The Scream Zone is actually 3 attractions, the trifecta of terror. There's the stars of the Silver Screams, Labyrinth Manor, and the Haunted Hayride. Dylan DeFada is the regional manager at the Scream Zone. He says the hayride is the crowd favorite. Guests are pulled down the jockey roads, typically used for horse racing and to house the horses and jockeys.
So it already is kind of creepy and eerie, and then we fill it with different scenes, anything from a clown carnival to a Killbilly set with voodoo swamps.
It'd go nicely in my collection.
The thrill of the haunted attraction is not just for guests, but also for the actors portraying ghouls, goblins, and monsters.
There's something fun about playing a character that you don't get to be in your typical everyday life.
This is Anthony Tucker's second time as a character. He portrays Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre horror series.
New this year is the Midway Madness, where you can grab a beer and throw an axe.
It sounds dangerous, but the crews are trained not to let drunk people participate. The Midway Madness is a Halloween-themed carnival where you can test your zombie survival skills with archery or swing an axe at killer clowns. But the main attractions is the scares. Tucker does take it easy on small children.
We step back and make sure that they have a good time. We don't want to push anybody a little too far.
But teenagers and adults, that's a different story.
Are you scared easily?
Well, I didn't think I was until today, so.
In Del Mar,
You got me.
Alexander Nguyen, KPBS News.
And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Bill Howe Family of Companies, providing San Diego with plumbing, heating and air, restoration, flood and remodeling services for over 40 years. Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE or visit billhowe.com. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley. And by the following. By viewers like you. Thank you.